What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Inter Miami. I'm your host, Andre Fernandez, joined as always by our Inter Miami beat writer, Michelle Kaufman. Lots to talk about on and off the field, as usual, with this team as Inter Miami continues to climb the Eastern Conference standings slowly but surely. The Supporter Shield, not this year, not going to happen. The Philadelphia Union have clinched that honor this season in first place, but Inter Miami is up to third right now and still trying to maybe squeeze their way up to the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about their victory over New England, a 4-1 convincing win. Messi, although was held scoreless as far as goals go, had a hat trick of assists, so at least back to contributing the goals. We'll talk about that. But some of the big news came off the field as two of the big four are deciding that this will be it. This is the last dance for Sergio Busquets. We knew that. He was honored this past week, but now Jordi Alba surprises everybody and says this will be it for him as well. So we'll talk a little bit about the impact that this is going to have not only on the rest of this season, but on this franchise as a whole going forward. We know it's a World Cup year next year, obviously, as well. So going to be have some interesting ripple effects, but we'll talk a little bit about that. We have plenty of reaction from goalie Rocco Rios Novo, of course, after last week's game, who started in place of Oscar Ustari. A little bit of a surprise there. We'll have a little bit from the ceremony honoring Sergio Busquets, and a little bit from a reaction from David Beckham, talking about how respected Busi really is on and off the field as a player. We'll have a reaction also from Javier Mascherano, as Miami has now 2 games left. They're back at least on the week-long breaks in between games. That should help the veteran squad maybe get their legs back a little bit more. Right now we're in a FIFA break. The next game, though, interesting because a lot of players, including Messi, Rodrigo De Paul, Velasco Segovia, Fafa Pico, and a few others, have all been called to the national teams, and they have a big one at Hard Rock Stadium this Friday, Argentina playing Venezuela, and Miami is going to be very shorthanded against Atlanta, so we'll look ahead to that and see how the playoff picture stands as of now. But let's start, Michelle, the two of the big four saying sayonara after this season. How about that?
Adios, adios, Busi, adios, Jordi. Big news. I mean, obviously the Busquets one we talked about already, and we'll have a little more reaction to that. 2 generational players, honestly.
Yep.
Sergio Busquets, considered one of the best defensive midfielders of all time, definitely of his generation. That one was a little bit more expected. It had been sort of rumored for much of the year that this was maybe going to be his last year. But Jordi Alba, this one was a shocker because he just signed a contract extension through 2027 in May. In May, just a few months ago, start of the summer, he signs a contract extension through 2027, a long-term deal. Has quotes about how excited he is to continue with Inter Miami, that he feels very good. He wants to continue winning trophies, blah, blah, blah. And now, all of a sudden, had a change of heart, says he's been thinking about it. And as it turns out, he is going to join Busi in retirement, and he wants to spend more time with his family. That's basically it, that he wants to spend more time with his family. This one did come as a surprise. Not only because, yes, I mean, he just signed a contract extension, so that's a big surprise. Also, he's been playing extremely well. He scored 2 goals in this 4-1 game in the most recent game against New England. He scored 2 goals. He's been playing at the top level. He's been at peak form. Nobody expected this, to be honest. This was really a big surprise, and it's a blow. I mean, it's a blow to the club, which is trying to sell tickets for the new stadium. With 2 of the 4, the Barcelona 4, 2 of them are now gone. And during Busquets' ceremony, they had a ceremony, a tribute to him after the game the other day, and Lionel Messi looked really down during that ceremony. To be honest, he didn't look very engaged in the ceremony. He looked very distracted. He was looking down. He was rubbing his head. And, we don't get to talk to him, so we couldn't ask him what was going on there. Some people thought maybe he was down because he hasn't scored in 3 games, although he had 3 assists. But it also could have been just, especially if he knew that this Jordi news is about to drop, just the realization that the end of an era is here. He had played 600 games with Sergio Busquets, played hundreds of games with Jordi Alba, and they came all together. It really was a group thing that they decided to come to Inter Miami, and now to lose both of those, from a personal level, I'm sure is going to be very difficult for Leo Messi, and also on the field. These are two of the guys who deliver the most assists to Lionel Messi. They know exactly where he's going to be all the time. They deliver him perfect passes, and that delivery is about to disappear at the end of this season. So it's going to be a different look team. As far as why Jordi did this, he said family reasons. I think why would he have had this change of heart? Maybe if in May, we're going to get a chance to talk to him, I believe later this week, we'll get to actually ask him. But if I'm speculating, this year has been a grind. They've already played 55 or 56 games, and they still have more games and a lot of travel. Starting with the preseason, they went into all different countries for the preseason. Then all these tournaments they're playing in. He has 3 little kids. He's 36 years old. It's a lot. It's a grind. Even as a beat writer, I'm exhausted with this season, and I'm not even playing in the games. I'm covering the games.
Right.
So I just think that playing so many games in so many different cities and countries, maybe it just took a toll, and especially for someone who has little kids. And Sergio Busquets said the same thing. I'm taking a year off because he does want to be a coach, but he said, I'm going to take a year off. I need a rest. I need a break. And I want to just be able to be with my family on weekends. So it could be something just as personal as that. And who can blame them?
Yeah, I mean it's been a grind to say the least. I mean, I think you said 56, and that might be even cutting it short. It might even be more than that, if I remember. Between they've had their hands in 4 different competitions. I mean, it's I've had people even ask me like, "Wait, weren't they in a championship game the other day? They're still playing?" And I'm like, "Nope, that's a separate thing. That's not the season. It's just the way the casual soccer fan that doesn't follow it and is used to the American model where you're just playing for one championship, one trophy at a time. But that's the way it is. I mean, these guys are used to it. Again, we talked about it. They're used to it in the sense of games and being involved in 2-3 competitions when you're in the Premier League or Serie A, you name it. But the travel aspect, I think, we've talked about it, is the big killer, because when you have to go from Miami to Seattle, you don't have to do that when you're playing in Spain. You don't have to do that when you're playing in England. You travel, but it's not as extensive. It's maybe an hour or 2-hour trip at the most, something like that for the most part, not 6-hour flights. Or like you said, when they plan these international tours in the preseason, you're going
They went to
all over the
Peru. They
planet.
went to Peru. They went to
Right,
Honduras. They, traveling all over the place for preseason games.
right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think these guys are just, and honestly, I mean, I know, I'm sure they would never say this, and maybe this is just again me speculating, but they're not, they don't have a whole lot of trophies to show for
No.
all of this effort that they're putting in. These guys
Yep.
are killing themselves, and they're falling
Yep.
short time and
One
again.
League's Cup and
If
one
they
and
were
one
bringing in
supporter field.
trophies, yeah, if they were racking up trophies and having trophy celebrations, maybe, but this team is working really, really hard. These players are playing 90 minutes every 3 days, traveling all over the place,
Yeah.
and they don't really have many trophies to show for it at this
I
point.
mean, think
So
about
they're
it, to
going
put
to
it.
lose two, huh?
Oh no, no, I was going to say, like, think about it, to put it in the terms of, like, again, maybe the casual fan that doesn't really. It's like if you had a division title and maybe like that thing the NBA does now, that NBA Cup in season tournament
Mm,
title. That's it, and that's all you've
yeah.
won in 2 years. And you've had 4 different LeBron level players on your team and not been able to come up with anything. So that's how much pressure to hoist that league title, at least that one championship together, which is now going to be their last chance to do it. Since
This is it. This is it. I mean, they have to honestly, yes, they can say they've had a good season. They've gotten to the semifinal of this, the final of that. They played well in the Club World Cup. But in my mind, they really need to win MLS Cup. With this roster, 42 million, the most expensive roster in the league with all of these superstars. And now with the extra motivation that this is it. Win it for Busi, win it for Jordi, send them out with a trophy. But it's really big news. To lose those two players is very, very big news. And it's going to be a new look. It's going to be a new look team next year. So we're going to see what happens now with Luis Suarez. Has not signed yet. His contract is ending. I am hearing that he is trying to sign for next year, to have another year, that he's in talks with the team.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing. So maybe he will be back. I know some fans will be happy to hear that. Some fans won't. But he is Messi's very close friend, and Messi's losing the other two. So, maybe he wants his buddy around. So that one is that. Messi, I know everyone wants to know when he's going to sign this contract already. It was supposed to be a couple weeks ago. There's been some delays, but from what I am hearing, and I
months
have
ago.
very good sources,
Yeah.
it's happening. It's going to be very soon. They're finalizing some final little details, but he is not leaving. From everything I'm hearing, Messi is staying. He will play in the new stadium, even though Busquets and Jordi have left.
Well, I mean, he's also has the long-term potential investment too. If he, if he joins either, some stake in the team, whether it's as part owner, or, front office, you name it. We've talked about that. That's a reality.
Well, he gets
right?
equity in the team. That's part of his
Right,
deal.
and he's got equity.
Part
right.
of the initial deal. When they say that the deal was $150 million valued
he's not
at
walk
$150 million. Yeah, that's the equity in the team. So he has a vested interest in making the club work and making the new stadium, the first season, be a big deal.
Right.
Miami Freedom Park, because he is going to be, heavily invested in this club.
Right.
So everything I'm hearing is that he's not leaving, that he is staying, despite obviously being sad, I'm sure, about losing two of his closest friends and most reliable teammates. He is going to stay. DePaul is here. Maybe Luis Suarez stays. And then with both Busquets and Alba leaving, there will be a lot of salary money that can be used for another DP. One DP spot will open because Rodrigo DePaul is going to take one of the DP spots, but Jordi's DP spot is going to open. So there is going to be money to sign a new designated player. By the way, they are also in deep negotiations, not as a DP, but a player named Sergio Reguilon. He played at Real Madrid. He's a Spaniard. Left back to replace Jordi.
Right.
Well, I don't know if Jordi can really be replaced, but another left back.
Succeed him on
to succeed him. He's 28 years old. He played at Real Madrid. He's played at Tottenham. He's was on loan at Manchester United. The thing about him is that he supposedly has a lot of potential, and he's played at these huge clubs, Real Madrid, Tottenham, Man U, but he's never been able to stick anywhere. So he comes with a reputation as a guy with a lot of talent who has not been able to stick at several different high level clubs. So we'll see what pans out with him. But the word is that they are close to a deal to sign him as a left back for the 2026 season. I don't think it would be for now. It would be for after Jordi leaves.
Right.
But beyond that, they now will have a DP spot and salary money. Busquets was making 8.8 million. Jordi Alba was making 6 million. So that's a lot of money they can now invest in other players.
Right. That's frees
going
up some
forward.
to try to fill in those gaps left behind by those players. But let's talk about just in the short term. The Jordi Alba is here and he is scoring, as he scored 2 goals in that matchup. Tadeo Allende had the other 2. As we said before, Messi involved in 3 of those goals. And Miami gets another much-needed 3 points to beat New England 4-1. They're now in 3rd place, as we said. Not going to get that supporter shield, but 2 games left. One of them, of course, now lands in this FIFA window where 6 different players are going to be absent from that game. So, again, tapping the bench.
Well, we don't know.
Right?
We don't
know for sure? Oh.
Technically, I will tell you this, that Scaloni the coach of Argentina, was asked on Tuesday, because Messi is in camp. All these, Messi and DePaul were in camp with Argentina. The camp is at Inter Miami training facilities, by the way. They're training in Miami since Monday at the Inter Miami training facility. Messi has been out there with DePaul, with the Argentine national team. However, Scaloni was asked, is it guaranteed that Messi is going to play for Argentina on Friday night against Venezuela? And he would not commit to that. He said, we don't know yet. We have to speak to the players. I have to speak to him. I have to speak to him and see how he's feeling, this and that and the other. So his face is on all the advertisements. He made a video with Rodrigo de Paul promoting this game against Venezuela. However, Inter Miami has a game against Atlanta, a real game, not an exhibition, on Saturday night. They really want the 3 points because they don't want to drop. They're in third place, but if you drop below fourth, you lose home field advantage. They really want home field advantage in the playoffs. They have 2 other teams breathing down their necks for that third and fourth place spot. So I don't know if it's possible that Messi will maybe put in an appearance for Argentina, but not play too long and also play Saturday. Will he skip the Argentina game? That would be unheard of. Really, he always plays for Argentina. However, Scaloni did not commit. And Mascherano so far has also not said. He said, we'll see who we have. We're going to have to see who we have. Bottom line, Messi is Messi. Messi will do what Messi wants. Okay. Right. A normal player, when you get called up for your national team, you are required to play for the national team unless the national team gives you permission to leave the camp and go play for your club. Among the FIFA rules or whatever, you have to get the club's permission to leave the camp and go play. Argentina has another game on Tuesday in Chicago against Puerto Rico. Maybe Messi plays Inter Miami Saturday and goes to play the Puerto Rico match. I don't know. Maybe he's going to skip the Inter Miami match. Bottom line is neither coach has committed and said 100%. So that's going to remain a little bit of a mystery. Even so, if the other 5 are missing, it's still going to be missing Rodrigo de Paul, Telasco Segovia, Fafa, Ian Frey got called into Jamaica for the first time, and Noah Allen is out with the Greek national under-21 team.
Yeah.
So a lot of absences, 5 or 6 absences on Saturday.
They will be shorthanded, but how shorthanded is still the question. And also interesting move at goalkeeper last week. Rocco gets the start, Ustari does not. They know they were coming off that abysmal 5 goals allowed the previous game against Chicago, which was a season high. Michelle, does Rocco start again? What's up with that?
Yeah, that came as a surprise when we saw the lineup on Saturday. It was like, oh, Rocco Rios Novo is Ustari injured? No, he wasn't injured. Mascherano said that it was a decision that they spoke to Ustari and they felt that this was a game that Rocco could start. I think Ustari has struggled in some recent games. We haven't really talked about it. Everyone's been talking about the defense giving up all these goals. He is the goalkeeper. He's part of the defense. He's an integral part of the defense. Yeah. Maybe he just needed a break. He is 38 years old. Like we've been saying, this season has been a grind, physically and mentally. It's a mental grind to play 55 games when a lot of the teams you're playing against have played, 10 or 15 fewer games than you've played. So he made the choice to sit Ustari and to start Rocco. And that was an interesting move. I don't think anybody suspected that. And it worked out. They won 4-1. New England was not a huge test. They didn't really test him that much, but he did what he had to do. And Ustari got a rest. And now the question is who starts on Saturday. And we did speak to Rocco Rios Novo spoke after the game. Let's listen in and see what he had to say.
Nada, contento obviamente por poder jugar, por poder volver a sumar minutos. también con un resultado de nos vamos contentos, obviamente muchas cosas para mejorar de cara a playoff, pero bueno, nada, seguir trabajando. Como te dije antes, personalmente estoy feliz de sumar minutos.
¿Te pusiste a asimilar en un momento compartir equipo, plantel, liga con estos monstruos? Hoy lo que pasó, la carrera en 3 minutos en una pantalla gigante de Busquets, que en lo personal, ¿qué significa este momento?
No, obviamente es un sueño, estoy viviendo un sueño. Jugar con estos animales es impresionante, tenemos grandes jugadores en el plantel. Obviamente lo estoy disfrutando el día a día, cada partido con ellos es disfrutar, te siguen sorprendiendo día a día, es impresionante, pero más que nada me quedo con la clase de personas que son, porque fuera de la cancha quizás muchos no lo conocen, pero son grandes personas, que eso es lo que realmente me pone contento, el compartir el día a día, obviamente, y me pone muy feliz estar hoy en día compartiendo con ellos.
Well, bottom line is he's very happy. Rocco Rios Novo is very happy. He said he was happy to be able to play, to get some more minutes. He was also happy with the result, even though there's a lot to improve, he said before the start of the playoffs, but it was a really important result for them. He was asked about what was it like, because they were going to have the ceremony for Busquets after. What was it like, to see Busquets, his whole career in front of you? What's it like to play with him? And he said, it's a dream. It's a dream for me, a dream come true to play with these beasts, he said, with these animals, with these beasts, to be able to be on the same field with them and live day to day with them is honestly a dream come true. He said they continue to surprise you day after day with what they can do. And also he said that they're great people, that they've been treating the other teammates really well, and that they're great people. And so Rocco Rios Nova was in a very good mood after that game. And he didn't even know, or maybe he did, but the announcement that was about to come about Jordi Alba. So yeah.
Well, and then right after him, speaking of not announcements but ceremonies, then they honored Busquets after the game, and we've got a video to play of him from Sergio himself talking about the ceremony and the tribute they did for him and his decision to hang it up after.
Muchísimas gracias a todos por estos 2 años y medio, como ha dicho Jorge. Para mí ha sido un placer acabar esta etapa de mi carrera, la última, compartir estos momentos con toda la afición, con mis compañeros, staff, trabajadores, Jorge, José, David, Xavi, todos. No tengo palabras, siempre una parte de mi corazón estar aquí con todos vosotros. Seguro que va a ser un hasta pronto, aunque mi carrera se acabe, y ojalá se pueda acabar de la mejor manera, que es estando en playoff y yendo a por el título. Muchas gracias también a mi mujer, a mis hijos, por acompañarme en cada paso que he dado. Para nosotros, después de tantos años en Barcelona, era una nueva experiencia, una nueva aventura, y yo creo que como futbolista, como persona y como familia hemos crecido mucho. Y bueno, pues que os quiero mucho y que este viaje sigue, aunque se acabe el fútbol. Y muchas gracias a todos por quedaros, por compartir esto conmigo, y siempre estaré muy agradecido. Gracias.
So that's Sergio Busquets, saying his goodbyes, saying his thank yous. He said, thank you to the club for a great 2.5 years. It was a privilege, an honor to end his career here, the last chapter of his career. He said he was at a loss for words. Part of his heart will always be here with Inter Miami. He said that he hopes that they can end this season in the best way possible by making a deep run in the playoffs and going for the title. He thanked his family. He said after so many years in Barcelona, this was a new adventure, but he thinks that as a family, they've grown a lot. And, and he waved his goodbyes. And, he also said later that he does plan to go into coaching. He does want to be a coach. He wants to begin taking the classes for the training for coach's license. But he said he's probably going to wait 1.5 years before he does that. He wants to go home and rest and be with his family and take a sabbatical for about a year and a half, and then begin training to be a coach. Speaking of, we spoke to Yannick Bright yesterday, and Yannick Bright just had amazing things to say about Busquets, just everything that he's learned from him on the field. He said, I wish that I could think like him. I wish that I could see the passes that he sees. He said, I'm trying to learn from him. But he said also off the field that he's such a class individual, such a professional, that he's always the first one in the team meetings. He's never, ever late for anything. He's the first person to show up at the meetings. And he said, even to the point that he sometimes scolds Yannick for his eating habits because he's very particular about nutrition. And he's just a consummate pro on and off the field. And, and how much he's going to be missed. And David Beckham talked about that as well. Let's hear what David Beckham, his boss, had to say.
Hola, Busi. It's David here. So I just wanted to send you a message because we all knew that eventually this moment would happen. You finishing your career, and it's been an incredible career. I want to say that I am so proud that you have ended your career here in Miami with the Miami family. We love you, we love your family, but your career has been absolutely incredible. From playing from Barcelona to winning everything, to also being part of a national team that also won everything in your career. You have to be so proud of that, and I know that you are and your family are. Then you come to Miami and you inspire a whole new generation of young players here in Miami. Not just what you do on the field, but what you do off the field. The person that you are, the player that you are, and the leadership and professionalism that you show is really incredible, and it's been incredible for our young players here at Inter Miami. Busi, whatever is next, you're going to be the best at. Everybody wanted to be Sergio Busquets. What a player. What a man, and thank you for being here in Miami. Lots of love to you, to your incredible wife, and your children, and your whole family. Busi, thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias.
So there you go, David Beckham, classy as always with his comments and talking again about, about his class on and off the field and what a contribution he gave, even though it was just 2.5 years. And then we'll do one more. We are just showering Busi with love. One more comment about Busi, and then we're going to move on from the Busi Love Fest. Let's hear from Javier Mascherano, who played with him as a teammate in Barcelona and then coached him this season.
Que los más grandes son los más humildes. Al final es eso. De Busi aprender a jugar es muy difícil, digamos, porque lo que hace él prácticamente es único. Es muy difícil querer copiarlo. Yo en aquel momento en Barcelona, cuando fui, sí intentaba mirarlo, pero siempre sabiendo que mi estilo de juego era totalmente diferente. Lo aprendí a admirar, pero sobre todo admirarlo como persona, ¿no? Un señor dentro y fuera de la cancha, siempre la palabra justa, nunca un tono desmedido, siempre dando el ejemplo, primero poniéndose como ejemplo o dando el ejemplo por detrás de la palabra. Y bueno, creo que para este club ha sido un privilegio tener un jugador como Busquets, ¿no? Creo que hay muchos clubes en la MLS con mucha más historia que el Inter Miami que no han conseguido tener un jugador como Busquets en todos estos años, y Inter Miami con tan pocos años se ha podido dar ese gusto. Así que, como dijo él, ojalá que lo podamos disfrutar unos cuantos partidos más y que termine de la mejor manera su carrera.
So same sentiments from everyone. He said, he was asked, what did you learn from Sergio Busquets? He said, I learned that the best players are the most humble, that the greatest thing about him was his humility. He said that he went to Barcelona to try to learn from him. And he said, the thing is, I have a totally different playing style from him, but he did admire him as a player, just everything that he could do. And he said, but also admired him as a person, that he's a gentleman, never raise his voice, a gentleman, always set the example, and that it was a privilege for this club to be able to have him, that there are a lot of MLS clubs that have been around a lot longer and have never had a player of the caliber of Sergio Busquets. So once again, it is unanimous that everybody loves Busi. I don't think there's any question that everybody loves Busi. By the way, I am going to break some breaking news coming in here that I am going to check out after the recording of this podcast, but there is breaking news that the Argentina versus Puerto Rico match that was supposed to be in Chicago on Tuesday might be moved to Miami, to Chase Stadium on Monday because of protests in Chicago. Apparently, there are protests on the streets of Chicago, and maybe there was some concern. And reports out of Argentina are that that match is going to be moved to Chase Stadium. So Lionel Messi would have a chance to play at the home stadium for Argentina if those reports are true. I just wanted to throw that little breaking news in there. And then let's carry on. FIFA break segues right into that in a way.
Yeah, FIFA break and Miami, 2 games to go. Let's look at those standings, the way it stands right now. Miami still has 1 game in hand over some of these teams. Cincy, Philly clinched, but Cincy is in second place, 62 points, has 1 game left. Miami has 2 games to go. They're at 59 points. So technically, these teams could end up tied if they both win their remaining games at 65. I believe the draw they have tighter. Is that right? If they end up with the same.
Yeah, they go by they go by number of wins, and then they go by goal differential. If they end up with the same number of points.
So it will help. I'm saying if they end up with the same number of points, I think Cincy would have the tiebreaker, having beaten them once, and also the other game being a draw. I believe they would have the tiebreaker head-to-head. So they could finish with the same amount of points still, but I don't think that's a good – Miami, I think, needs Cincinnati to either lose or draw their last game and then win their last 2. That's the only way they move up to second. But they still also need to win, conceivably, to solidify that third place at the very least, because Charlotte's right behind them at 56. NYC is behind them at 56 as well. And then an interesting one here, if let's play that game that they love doing in all the leagues, where it's like, if the playoffs started today, it would be Inter Miami and Nashville. Nashville's in 6th place right now, would play Miami in the first round. Now, Nashville and Miami, guess what, everybody? Play each other in the regular season finale.
In the final game.
At Nashville.
Yes.
In the final game on the 18th. And that would be a matchup of the 2 leading scorers in the Eastern Conference, Lionel Messi and Sam Surridge, clashing again. So interesting last couple of weeks here.
Yeah, Nashville is always tough. No matter if Nashville's in 6th place or in 1st place, Nashville is always a very tough team. And, you know, they do have firepower. They can score goals. We know that Miami has been vulnerable on the defensive side. So that's a dangerous game. This Atlanta game is really important because this is a game that they should be able to win at home. It remains to be seen. Like I said, is Messi, will he play? Will he not? You know, so common sense said that he wouldn't, but nothing would surprise me with this guy. Things change, rules change with him. You know, so it'll be interesting to see what happens coming up. Also, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this other little news that's of interest to Inter Miami fans. Tata Martino, former Inter Miami coach, is the leading candidate to become coach of LAFC, to replace Steve Cherundolo as coach of LAFC. So apparently they are in talks. They're in negotiations. He would like to come back to MLS. He enjoyed his time in Atlanta, where he won an MLS Cup title. He enjoyed his time at Miami and then left, you know, for personal reasons, took off this season. But the word is that Tata is going to be the next coach at LAFC. Wow. So let's see what happens. That's a really interesting team now with Son, how he's changed things over there. Buonga's playing amazing. That duo is becoming a dynamic duo in MLS. And Tata Martino could come back to haunt Inter Miami in the playoffs next year.
Yeah, so you could, and if you're wondering, for those that aren't really looking over at the Western Conference, LAFC in fourth place right now, 56 points, but still within striking distance of moving up a little bit, only 2 points behind Minnesota, and they have 2 games in hand on Minnesota and San Diego, which right now leads the West, tied with Vancouver. So LAFC could make some noise this season, and then if they bring in Tata next year, it'd be interesting. I mean, I know they're in the West, but powerhouse team for sure.
Yeah, powerhouse. And Tata, no one, I think everyone agree, maybe not, no one, everyone doesn't agree on anything about soccer, especially about coaches. But I think I will just speak for me. I think Tata Martino did a great job with this team. Last season, they were in first place the entire year, even with Messi out for 2.5 months. He managed to keep the team on top of the standings. They did lose in the first round of the playoffs, but I honestly don't think that was Tata's fault. And it would be very good for the league, I think, to have him back. He's a very well-respected coach, a good person. He loves MLS. He really does. And I think it would be a great addition to the league to have him back next year.
Yeah, be a good, for sure, be a good addition. Another veteran coach to add to the mix to MLS overall. Going back to the Miami part, if it is Nashville, kind of interesting because as many probably remember, it's 2 out of 3 in the first round. So conceivably, this very tough Nashville team that Miami has had a lot of dealings with over the last couple of years could end up having to face them up to 4 times, Michelle. The regular season finale, and let's say that series were to go the distance.
It could be 4 games in a row against Nashville. Yeah. And you definitely want home field advantage, by the way. You want home field advantage against Nashville because I have been to that stadium in Nashville, and there will not be pink shirts there. I'm telling you, this is one of the markets where they love their Nashville team. And yes, there are Messi fans, but they will be rooting for Nashville up there. And it's a tough place to play. It's very loud. It's a very steep stadium, and it's very, very loud there. And you definitely, if you're going to play Nashville, you want home field advantage.
Yeah, I've been there. Unfortunately, I've not been there yet for an actual game. I've been there for a concert, but I've seen the dimensions and kind of in my head seen sort of how it probably looks. And yeah, like you said, it's kind of one of those that traps the sound, the noise of the crowd too.
Yes. It's like a box. It's like a tall box, and the noise stays in really there, and it's loud. It's loud. It's an intimidating place to play, and they are a good team. And yeah, I mean, this is not going to be easy. None of this has been easy for Inter Miami, despite having all the stars, despite having Messi, Busquets, Alba, Suarez, Rodrigo de Paul, all the other new younger players who have made a dent and, made a good showing on this team. They have no trophies to show for it yet this year. And this is it. We've got a few weeks here where they're going to be going for the only trophy that's still within reach for them is the MLS Cup. And you can imagine how motivated they are and how much pressure there is on them. And knowing how competitive Lionel Messi is, that's why I'm saying it is possible that somewhere in that head, as much as he loves Argentina, he's thinking, we have one chance left to win a trophy. And especially with Busquets and Alba, I'm going to do everything I can to help this team. So we'll see. Yeah. We will see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Yeah, for sure. And remember, that Inter Miami, we're talking a lot about that Inter Miami Nashville potential, but it's not locked in stone by any stretch. Not on the Nashville side or Miami's. There could still be some movement over these final 2 weeks, as we know. I mean, another interesting. There's a bunch of interesting possibilities. If Miami, let's say Miami does move up to 2, guess who's number 7 right now? Orlando City. We know what's happened there.
Boy.
And Chicago is the 8th seed right now, but still could move up. Chicago, the team that just dealt Miami that 5-3 loss. So a lot of that Eastern Conference.
With a very good coach, with Greg Berhalter, who knows. Yeah, he clearly knew what to do to beat Miami.
The number 9 seed, like you mentioned last week, Michelle, is the Columbus Crew. That tells you right there that from top to bottom, there's no slouch in the East. The West is kind of dominated by 4 teams, but the East is top to bottom going to be pretty crazy this year in the playoffs.
Yes, anything is going to happen in these playoffs. The East is very even. Like you said, those top 9 teams, when you've got Columbus in 9th place, Chicago, I mean, these teams are good and these teams have beaten Miami. And these are teams that are the 8th and 9th seeds, 7, 8, 9. These are all teams that can and have beaten Miami. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a tough road for the next month.
Well, check it
Buckle
out
your
on
seatbelts.
Oh,
Buckle your seatbelts and grab a lot of popcorn, people.
That's
because
right.
This is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah. So as we said before, Michelle will bring you all that coverage of not just the Atlanta game on Saturday, but the Argentina-Venezuela game as well. Coming up this Friday.
I'll be there tonight. Yep.
So you'll be there, and but next week we'll be back to talk about that, both of those games, and anything else, any other unforeseen events that could pop up. You never know, obviously, with this team, whether it's injuries, fights, retirements, they've always got something going on. So we'll be back next week to recap all of that and look ahead to that Nashville regular season finale and where the team stands by then. For Michelle Kaufman, I'm Andre Fernandez. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube, all your favorite podcatchers. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.